Hey friends, welcome back to another Freebie Friday. I know it's been a little bit since our last one. Sorry about that, things got crazy. But this week I'm super excited because we are going to be making the Ellie and Mac reusable snack bags. And ever since we had our Earth Day lesson in school, my kids have been dying to get their hands on these. We talked about how to recycle and how to, treat our earth better. And this is one of the things we decided to do was ditch plastic. So we are going to be making these reusable snack bags and using them for everything. So what you will need is you will need a inner fabric and a lining fabric and an outer fabric. My lining fabric is going to be PUL, just so that it stays waterproof and easier to clean. And then my outer fabric is going to be woven. This Pikachu bag I made with PUL for the inner and outer, and I didn't love it, probably because I'm not great at sewing PUL yet. It's only my second or third time. But I really did love how the woven PUL bags turned out. They were nice and crisp and weren't too wiggly, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but okay. So I do like the woven. I do recommend a woven and like a PUL, or both woven is fine too. You're also going to need some hook and loop tape, an inch wide. Mine's I think 3/4 inches, but it totally works. And then so from that hook and loop tape, you are going to need to cut out two soft fuzzy sides at 2 1/4 inch and two of the scratchy sides at 2 1/4 inch. And then you're also going to want to cut the rectangle pieces out from your inner and your outer fabric. And then what you're going to do is take your inner fabric, your lining fabric, and place it right sides up, and then put your outer fabric right sides together. So you have right sides together, and what we're going to do now is we're going to just pin or clip all the way around, making sure so that these fabrics don't, slide or anything. And then when we get to the bottom, or one of the short ends anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to leave about a 2-inch gap there so that we can turn our bag right sides out after we sew it along. So just go ahead and pin all the way around, or clip, whatever you prefer, doesn't really matter. And then what we're going to do after we've got it all pinned and secured and we're sure that our fabric's not going to slip and slide on us, we are going to sew all the way around, starting at one side of that opening, down the long side, down the short side, down the other long side, and going back to the other side of the opening so that we leave that 2-inch gap. We're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and just sew all the way around from side pin to pin. Okay, so just some notes when sewing this. Make sure when you start and stop at either side of your gap, your opening, you want to make sure to back stitch so that those stitches don't pull and pop. And then when you get to a corner, make sure that your needle is down. You're going to lift your presser foot and then just turn your fabric at a 90-degree angle like you see there, and then go down the other side. So that gives you a nice crisp corner. Okay, now that our bag is all sewn up, leaving that little 2-inch gap there, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to clip the corners on all the corners of the bag. You want to get as close to the stitches as possible without cutting through the stitches. And what this does is this makes it so that when you turn those corners out, they're nice and straight, and they have a nice corner to them instead of having a bit of a depth, so it takes out the bulk from the corners there. And then next, the instructions say to go through and trim up the seam allowance. Again, this is to help avoid any bulk. Because it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I don't know if you need to do this part. I did trim it with pinking shears because I have woven and I don't want it to go crazy on me. I'm completely drawing a blank on the word that I'm looking for. But what I did notice when I did this is that I clipped through, because there's not a lot of seam allowance, I did end up clipping through some of my stitches. So I had to go back through and restitch them because it just was kind of a mess. So I wouldn't do this unless you are really positive you can get close to those stitches without cutting them. I didn't do it on my other the 2 other bags, and it was fine. It just reduces some of that bulk again, but it's not necessary. Okay, so now that our seams are all nice and cleaned up, we're just gonna go ahead and turn that bag right sides out. So just go ahead and push it all the way out and then go through really and push those corners out. I use my favorite tool, which is my, it's called a purple thing. It's my absolute favorite tool for pretty much everything in sewing. I use it almost every project. But I'm just gonna use that. You can use like a bamboo stick, or I think some people use like a chopstick, anything really, just something to go in there and push those corners out. This is a good time too to make sure that you didn't clip through any seams if you trimmed your seam allowance, and just make sure your bag is completely sewn all the way around. So once that's done, once all our corners are pushed out and we're sure that our bag is all sewn together, what we're gonna do is we are gonna take the raw edges of that opening that we left when we sewed the bag around, and we are going to tuck those in so that they are pushed into the opening, and we've created a fold now on either side. So we're going to tuck those in 1/4 inch so that it's nice and even with the rest of the fabric then, and then pin or clip where that opening is, and then we're going to go ahead and sew along the top of that bag using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. So we want to get right close to the edge there. So our bag is now all closed completely, and what we need to do now is just add our Velcro pieces. So we're gonna flip the bag over so that we have the outside. We're gonna put the soft edges of our hook and loop tape, so I guess the loop edges of our Velcro onto the bottom edge of our outside bag. So you want to measure 3/4 inches up from the bottom and 1/4 inch over, and then just go ahead and put those the loop part of your Velcro and pin or clip them on, and then you're just going to sew right around 1/8 inch seam allowance all the way around both edges of all the way around the Velcro tape. Okay, so now that we've got the hook part of our hook and loop tape added, what we're going to do is we are going to flip our bag around so that the lining portion is right sides up. And then ignore this part because I did it wrong. We're going to fold it up so that we're putting lining sides together, and we're going to fold it up to, you can use the pattern markings, I just winged it, I just eyed it. But then make sure that you can fold your flap over so it meets your loop tape and it's not too crazy. And then you're going to measure 1/4 inch down and 1/4 inch over, and you're going to add the hook tape. So the hook part of it is going to be on the lining side. So your loop was on the outer, your hook is going to be on the lining, and what that's going to do now is it's going to, when you fold it over, it's going to lay nice and flat. Then we're just going to go ahead and sew around that using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now that our Velcro is added to our reusable snack bag, we've got the hook part on the lining and the loop part on the outer. We're gonna fold that, fold the fabric up. So again, the lining is together. Go ahead and check to make sure you like the placement of the fold. And then you're just gonna pin or clip it around so that it doesn't move on you later. And then we are going to start at the upper corner. We are going to sew down the side, along the bottom, and up the side, and then along the top. So we're just sewing all the way around. Now when I say along the top, you're not going to sew where the opening is. You're just going to sew all the way along the very top of it there, and that's going to close your bag up for you. All right, here we have it. Our bag is completely done, our reusable bag. It's so cute. It fits a sandwich. This is the medium-sized one. It fits a sandwich perfectly. The small one fits like grapes and blueberries and carrots. And then the big one, you can fit pretty much anything in. I think my kids are probably gonna use it for Legos, honestly, but you could fit a huge snack in there. But I love how this looks, and it's a great way to ditch the plastics and yeah, help out the earth. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.